3 months of living with Park Jae-hyun felt like a dream Jenny never wanted to wake up from. Morning coffee together, his arm around her waist while they cooked dinner, falling asleep to the sound of his heartbeat, waking up to kisses that made her forget the world outside their penthouse existed. She'd survived Jiwoo's tests, proven she belonged in his world, built a life with the man she'd loved in secret for years. Everything was perfect. Until the day Jenny decided to surprise him at work with lunch. Her hand froze on his office door handle. Through the glass panel, she could see everything. Jae-hyun had a woman pressed against the wall, his hand braced beside her head. The woman's fingers resting on his chest, their faces inches apart, both standing far too close for it to be innocent. Jenny's chest went numb. Her perfect dream shattered in the time it took her heart to break. She pushed the door open. Jenny. Jae-hyun stepped back immediately. This isn't what it looks like. Except it looked exactly like every suspicion she'd been ignoring for months. Every doubt she'd convinced herself was paranoia. Every warning everyone had given her about loving a man whose world she'd never fully understand. The woman smiled like she'd won something. You must be Jennifer. I've heard so much about you. And just like that, 3 months of bliss crumbled into doubt, jealousy, and the terrifying question Jenny had been avoiding. Was she a fool for believing love could survive in his world? Did she really think a mafia boss would genuinely want a foreigner like her who had no idea what his world entailed? Or was she the perfect choice because she would be clueless, naive, and easily manipulated? Welcome to Afro-Korean Love Stories. Tales of Jenny's love life. She has gone through the tests and accepted him for who he is. Now this is the beginning of the real love. Let's see if it conquers all or it crumbles at the sight of reality's pressures. Stick around to find out more. Also, let me know in the comments which city you're watching from. I'm curious to know. Now, let's dive into it. Standing in Jae-hyun's office watching her world collapse didn't happen overnight. It was built on 3 months of small cracks she'd been ignoring. 3 months earlier, moving day had felt like magic. This box is going in the bedroom, Maya announced, carrying what was clearly labeled kitchen stuff. That says kitchen, Jenny pointed out. Your bedroom is closer. I'm working smarter, not harder. Chioma rolled her eyes, redirecting Maya to the actual kitchen. Haewon was already unpacking books, organizing them by color because it looks prettier that way. Jae-hyun had offered to hire movers. Jenny had refused. This needed to feel real. Needed her friends' fingerprints all over it, their laughter echoing through rooms that had been too quiet for too long. I can't believe you're actually doing this, Haewoo said, arranging novels on the shelf. Living with him. It's so romantic. It's so insane, Maya corrected. But we support your insanity. Conditionally, Chioma added. We reserve the right to say, I told you so if this goes badly. It won't go badly. Her friends exchanged looks that said they weren't convinced. But they hugged her anyway, helped her unpack anyway, ordered pizza, and christened the penthouse with wine and laughter anyway. After they left, Jenny stood in the bedroom, their bedroom now, and felt the weight of what she'd done. She'd moved in with Park Jae-hyun, changed her entire life for a man who lived in shadows and danger. Having second thoughts? Jae-hyun appeared in the doorway, watching her with careful eyes. No. Just processing. He crossed to her, pulled her into his arms. We can take this slow. You don't have to unpack everything today, or this week, or ever if you change your mind. I'm not changing my mind. You sure? Jenny looked up at him, at the face she'd memorized over 3 years of stolen glances. The man she'd loved in secret for so long she'd forgotten what it felt like not to love him. I'm sure. He kissed her then, soft and sweet, and Jenny knew she'd made the right choice. The first week was adjustment, learning his routines, how he liked his coffee, that he was absolutely useless in the kitchen, that he had nightmares more nights than not, that his idea of a romantic gesture was leaving post-it notes with terrible poetry on the bathroom mirror. Roses are red, violets are blue. I'm bad at poems, but I love you. Jenny had laughed so hard she cried. It's terrible, she told him over breakfast. It's from the heart. Your heart has no sense of rhythm or rhyme. And yet you love me anyway. Unfortunately. He'd grinned, stealing a piece of her toast. Say it again. That your poetry is terrible? That you love me. Jenny had rolled her eyes but complied. I love you. Still not tired of hearing it. They fell into a rhythm. Mornings together when his schedule allowed. Thursday evening cooking, or attempting to cook. Late nights on the balcony watching Seoul's lights and talking about everything. Sunday dinners with Jiwoo became routine. Every week without fail, the three of them would meet at restaurants where menus had no prices and servers knew exactly who Park Jae-hyun was. Jiwoo was civil, pleasant even. She asked about Jenny's work, complimented her dress choices, made conversation that felt increasingly genuine. I'm glad my brother has you, Jiwoo said one Sunday, surprising them both. He's different. Softer. In a good way. Jenny had glowed with that compliment for days. See? She could do this. Could navigate his world. Could build relationships with his family. Could prove everyone wrong who said she didn't belong. But then small things started feeling off. Like the phone calls. Jae-hyun would be speaking Korean, deep in conversation, and the moment Jenny entered the room, he'd switch to English mid-sentence. Seamless. Practiced. Like he'd been preparing for her arrival. Who was that? She'd ask casually. Business. Nothing important. It happened once. Twice. A dozen times. Each time with the same deflection. Then the late night started. I have a meeting tonight, Jae-hyun said one Wednesday. Might run late. How late? Midnight, maybe later. Don't wait up. He came home at 3 a.m. Jenny woke to the sound of the shower running, the faint smell of cigarette smoke clinging to his clothes in the hamper. He never smoked. Had quit years ago. Unless something was wrong. Bad night, she asked when he slid into bed. Just long. Go back to sleep. She wanted to push. To ask what kind of meeting required him to come home smelling like smoke at 3 a.m. But the exhaustion in his eyes stopped her. The late meetings became a pattern. 2 nights a week. Then 3. Always vague explanations. Always deflection when she asked for details. You're better off not knowing, became his standard response. And maybe he was right. Maybe ignorance was protection. Maybe asking questions would drag her deeper into parts of his world she couldn't handle. So Jenny stopped asking, smiled when he left, pretended not to notice the increasing distance. Then came the Tuesday that changed everything. Jenny went to check the mail, something she usually forgot about but remembered that afternoon. Bills. Advertisements. A plain white envelope with no return address. She opened it absently, mind already on work emails she needed to answer. Inside was a single piece of paper. For words in Korean characters. Jenny pulled out her phone, typed them into the translation app. Weaknesses must be eliminated. Her blood went cold. This wasn't junk mail. Wasn't a mistake. Someone had deliberately sent this to their home. To her. She read it again. Then again. Hoping the translation was wrong. It wasn't. Jenny's first instinct was to call Jae-hyun. Show him. Demand to know what this meant. But something stopped her. Maybe pride. Maybe fear. Maybe the memory of every time he'd said, you're better off not knowing, like ignorance was a gift instead of an insult. She folded the note carefully, tucked it in the back of her desk drawer. Tomorrow she'd figure out what to do. Tomorrow she'd decide if this was worth panicking over. Tonight, she'd pretend she'd never seen it. When Jae-hyun came home, early for once, before midnight, Jenny was reading on the couch. Or pretending to read. Actually staring at the same page for 20 minutes while her mind spiraled. Hey. He kissed the top of her head. You're still awake. Couldn't focus on sleep. Everything okay? No. Someone sent a threatening note. I'm terrified. I need you to tell me the truth about what's happening. Everything's fine, Jenny said. Just restless. He studied her face like he was trying to read her mind. You sure? Positive. How was your day? And just like that, they were back to normal. Surface-level conversation. Careful distance disguised as consideration. Jenny hated it. Hated the secrets. Hated pretending. Hated that she was becoming someone who hid things instead of speaking truth. But what choice did she have? That night, wrapped in Jae-hyun's arms, Jenny couldn't sleep. Kept thinking about 4 words in Korean. Weaknesses must be eliminated. Wondering if whoever sent that note was talking about her. wondering if the man holding her would protect her from his world, or if his world would swallow her whole. The second note arrived 5 days later. Jenny found it the same way, slipped under their door, plain white envelope, no return address. Her stomach dropped the moment she saw it. This time, she didn't need translation. The message was in English. The foreigner doesn't belong in our world. Her hands shook as she read it.
Once. Twice.
3 times, like repetition would change the words. Someone was watching her, tracking her, knew exactly where she lived, and wanted her to know they could reach her anytime. She should tell Jae-hyun.
Right now.
Call him at work and demand answers. Instead, Jenny folded the note, placed it with the first one in her desk drawer, and tried to breathe through the panic. This was fine. She was fine. Jae-hyun had said rivals played mind games. This was just intimidation. Nothing real. Except it felt real. Felt like a promise. That evening, Jae-hyun came home earlier than usual, around 9 p.m. instead of midnight. Jenny was making tea, hands still unsteady, when he walked into the kitchen. "You're home early," she said, trying for casual. "Missed you." He wrapped his arms around her waist from behind, resting his chin on her shoulder. "Wanted to actually see you while you're awake." Guilt twisted in her chest. He was being sweet.
Trying.
And here she was keeping secrets. "Jae-hyun," she started, then stopped. "What?" "Tell him about the notes. Ask for honesty. Demand to know what's happening." "Nothing. Just, I missed you too." He turned her around, studying her face with that intensity that always made her feel exposed. "Something's wrong."
Talk to me.
"I'm fine. You're a terrible liar. Your left eye twitches when you're not telling the truth." Damn him for being observant. "I'm just tired. Work's been stressful." "Jenny." "I'm fine. Really." She kissed him to stop the questions. "Let's not waste you being home early. Wanna watch something?" He looked like he wanted to push, to dig deeper. But he let it go. "Okay, your choice tonight." They settled on the couch, Jenny tucked against his side, some action movie playing that neither of them was really watching. It should have been perfect, comfortable,
safe.
Instead, Jenny couldn't stop thinking about the notes, about the fact that she was hiding things from him while he was probably hiding things from her, about how their relationship was built on careful omissions and protective lies. "Can I ask you something?" she said during a particularly loud explosion scene. "Always." "Do you ever regret it? Us living together?" Jae-hyun grabbed the remote, paused the movie, turned to face her fully. "Where is this coming from?" "Just wondering." That's not an answer. "Neither is business meeting when I ask where you're going at midnight." The words came out sharper than intended, hung in the air between them like accusations. Jae-hyun's jaw tightened. "That's different."
"How?"
"Because my business involves things you don't need to be exposed to. Things that could put you in danger if you knew too much." "So you protect me with ignorance?" "I protect you however I can." "What if I don't want to be protected? What if I want the truth?" "The truth is ugly, Jenny.
Dark.
Full of things that would give you nightmares." He cupped her face in both hands. "I'm trying to keep you separate from that. To give you something normal in a world that's anything but." "But I'm not separate. I live in your world now. Sleep in your bed. Wear your ring." She stopped, realizing what she'd almost said. They weren't engaged, weren't even discussing it. That had just been her imagination running wild. Jae-hyun's expression softened. "What were you going to say?" "Nothing. Forget it." "Jenny, I just mean I'm here. All the way in. So treating me like I'm fragile or naive or someone who needs protecting from reality feels." She searched for the right word. "Insulting. Like you don't think I'm strong enough to handle your world." He was quiet for a long moment. "It's not about strength. It's about keeping the one good thing in my life untouched by all the terrible things I do. I'm not a thing. I'm a person. Your partner. And partners tell each other the truth. Even when it's ugly." "You want the truth?" His voice went flat.
"Fine."
"Tonight's meeting? I was finalizing a deal that required threatening a man's family to get compliance. Yesterday's late night? I was cleaning up a situation that ended with someone in the hospital. Last week when I came home at 4 a.m., I was handling a betrayal in my organization that required making an example of someone." He pulled back, watching her reaction. That's the truth, Jenny. That's what I do. Still want more details? Her stomach churned. Part of her wanted to recoil, to unhear everything he'd just said. But another part, the part that had chosen to love him knowing what he was, refused to flinch. Yes, she said quietly. I still want the truth. Because pretending doesn't make it less real. It just makes me feel like you don't trust me. I do trust you. Then prove it. Stop protecting me from reality, and let me decide what I can handle. They stared at each other, tension thick enough to cut. Finally, Jae-hyun sighed. You're right.
I'm sorry.
I'm so used to keeping things compartmentalized that I forget you're not someone who needs to be managed. You're my partner. Thank you. But Jenny, some things I still won't tell you. Not because I don't trust you, but because knowing certain details could make you legally complicit. Could put a target on your back. That's non-negotiable. She wanted to argue, to demand complete transparency. But looking at the fear in his eyes, real, genuine fear for her safety, she understood. Okay, she said. I can accept that. As long as you're honest when you can be.
Deal.
He kissed her then, and they went back to the movie, the tension easing between them. Jenny told herself she'd done the right thing. That honesty was important. That they'd made progress. But she still didn't tell him about the notes. Still kept them hidden in her drawer like dirty secrets. Because if she told him, he'd want to protect her. Would probably send her away or surround her with security or do something that proved the notes right, that she was a weakness. A liability. And Jenny refused to be the thing that made Park Jae-hyun vulnerable. So she stayed quiet, smiled, pretended the notes didn't exist. Even as a third one arrived 2 days later. She makes you weak. Even as she started checking over her shoulder when walking to her coffee shop. Even as fear became background noise to her daily life. Because loving Jae-hyun meant accepting danger as part of the package. She just hadn't expected the danger to come with handwritten notes and anonymous threats. Or that her biggest fear wouldn't be his world destroying her, but that she'd destroy him by being the weakness his enemies exploited. The Sunday dinner that changed everything happened 2 weeks after the third note arrived. Jenny had gotten good at pretending, at smiling through meals with Jiwoo while anxiety ate her alive, at making small talk while scanning every corner for threats that might never come. This particular Sunday, they met at Jiwoo's favorite restaurant, the kind of place with private rooms and servers who knew to disappear unless summoned. You look tired, Jenny, Jiwoo observed, sipping wine with elegant precision. Is my brother keeping you up too late? The comment could have been innocent. Probably was innocent. But Jenny's paranoia heard judgment. Heard implication that she wasn't strong enough for this life. Just busy with work, she said smoothly. You know, there's a wonderful spa in Gangnam. Very discreet. Perfect for when you need to escape the stress of everything. Jiwoo's smile was perfectly pleasant. I could give you the name. That's kind of you. Jae-hyun's phone buzzed. He glanced at it, jaw tightening. I need to take this. Excuse me. He stepped out of the private room, leaving Jenny alone with Jiwoo. The silence stretched uncomfortable. He seems tense lately, Jiwoo said casually. More than usual. Business pressures, I assume. Perhaps. Or other pressures. She refilled her wine glass. It must be difficult. Trying to maintain a relationship while running an organization. So many competing demands. He manages. Does he? Because from where I'm sitting, my brother looks exhausted. Stretched thin. Distracted. Jenny's defenses rose. What are you implying? Nothing. Simply observing. Jiwoo's expression remained neutral. You care about him, yes? Of course. Then you understand that sometimes caring means making difficult choices. Putting someone's well-being above your own desires. Before Jenny could respond, raised voices filtered through the door. Jae-hyun, speaking rapid Korean. Angry. Both women fell silent, listening. Jenny caught fragments. Not enough to understand fully, but enough to hear her own name mentioned. Enough to recognize argument. The call ended. Jae-hyun didn't return immediately. I should check on him, Jenny said, standing. Jennifer. Wait. Something in Jiwoo's tone stopped her. What? I need to use the restroom. Would you mind ordering me another bottle of the Pinot? The server knows which one. It was a dismissal. A clear "don't follow my brother right now." Jenny wanted to refuse, to go after Jae-hyun anyway. But making a scene with Jiwoo felt like the wrong move. Of course. She stepped out, intending to find a server. Instead, she heard voices from around the corner. Jae-hyun and Jiwoo, speaking Korean in low, urgent tones. Jenny shouldn't eavesdrop. Knew it was wrong.
She did it anyway.
Pulled out her phone, opened the translation app, and moved close enough to catch their words. Don't know how much longer I can keep pretending. Jiwoo's voice. Sharp.
Clear.
Jiwoo. She's a distraction. Your men are questioning your judgment. Rivals are circling because they see weakness. Jenny's blood went cold. I love her. Jae-hyun. Quiet but firm. Love doesn't stop bullets, Appa. You know that better than anyone. Jenny stood frozen around the corner, phone clutched in shaking hands, listening to her world collapse in Korean. I've been tolerating her because I thought maybe you needed this, Jiwoo continued. A normal relationship. Something soft in all the darkness. But it's been 3 months and things are getting worse, not better. That's not her fault, isn't it? The notes. The threats. The whispers among your lieutenants. None of that existed before she moved in.
Notes.
Plural. Jiwoo knew about the notes. Which meant Jae-hyun knew about the notes. Which meant he'd been lying to her. Protecting her with ignorance while knowing exactly what threats she was facing. I'm handling it, Jae-hyun said, voice hard. Are you? Because from where I stand, you're distracted.
Soft.
Worried about her safety instead of focused on the empire. At some point, Appa, you'll have to choose her or everything we've built. That's not a choice I'm willing to make. Then you're a fool. And fools don't survive long in our world. Footsteps. They were coming back. Jenny fled to the restroom, locked herself in a stall, and tried to breathe through the panic. Jiwoo had never accepted her. Had been pretending. Playing nice while actively working to push Jenny out. And Jae-hyun, he knew about the threats and said nothing. Let her believe she was paranoid while danger circled closer. Everything was a lie. When Jenny finally composed herself enough to return to the table, Jiwoo was alone, sipping wine like nothing had happened. Jae-hyun had to leave, she said calmly. Emergency business. He asked me to take you home. I can get myself home. Don't be silly. It's on my way. The car ride was silent. Excruciating. Jiwoo made polite small talk that Jenny responded to with single syllables, mind still replaying that conversation. When they finally reached the penthouse, Jenny practically ran inside. She went straight to her desk, pulled out the 3 notes she'd been hiding. Weaknesses must be eliminated. The foreigner doesn't belong in our world. She makes you weak. Laid them out on the coffee table, stared at them until the words blurred. Jae-hyun knew, had known this whole time, and he'd said nothing. Her phone buzzed. The group chat. Maya. Weekly check-in. How's life with the hot Mafia boss? Hey one. Are you surviving? Need rescue? Chioma. You've been quiet lately. Everything okay? Jenny's fingers hovered over the keyboard.
She needed them.
Needed to hear her friends tell her she wasn't crazy. That her feelings were valid. That someone was on her side. Jenny, can we video call? I need to talk. 3 dots appeared immediately from Maya. Maya, give us 10 minutes. But then another message came through. Hey one. I can't tonight.
I'm so sorry.
Family emergency. My mom's in the hospital. Maya. Oh no, hey one. Is she okay? Hey one. They think it's her heart. I'm at the ER now. I'll call you guys tomorrow. Guilt crashed over Jenny. Here she was, spiraling over relationship drama, while Haewon dealt with actual crisis. Jenny, don't worry about me. Take care of your mom. Sending love. Chioma, I can still call if you need, Jenny. What's wrong? Before Jenny could respond, another text came through. This time from Chioma's work number.
Chioma, shit.
Emergency at work. Major case development. I'm going to be in the office all night. Can we talk tomorrow? Maya, I'm here. What's up? Jenny started typing, then stopped. Maya was dealing with her own stuff. Had mentioned last week that her brother was having trouble at school. That her parents were fighting. That she was stretched thin trying to help everyone. She couldn't dump this on Maya. Couldn't be one more person demanding emotional labor. Jenny. Actually, I'm fine. Just feeling a bit overwhelmed. Nothing urgent. Talk tomorrow? Maya, you sure? Jenny. Positive. Love you guys. She set the phone down. Stared at the empty penthouse. At the notes spread across the table like evidence of her failure. For the first time since moving in, Jenny felt completely alone. Her friends had their own lives. Their own problems. They couldn't be her constant support system. Couldn't drop everything every time she needed reassurance. And Jaehyun? He was part of the problem. Had lied by omission. Had known she was in danger and decided ignorance was protection. There was only one person left to call. The person she'd been avoiding for months. The person who definitely wouldn't approve. Who'd probably say, I told you so, and mean it. With shaking hands, Jenny dialed her mother. It rang 3 times before a familiar voice answered, thick with sleep and confusion. Jennifer? It's almost midnight. What's wrong? And just like that, hearing her mother's voice, Jenny broke. Mom. Her voice cracked. I need help. Baby, what happened? Are you hurt?
No.
How did she even explain this? I'm in Seoul. I've been living with someone. And I think I made a mistake. Silence. Then, carefully. Living with someone? As in. His name is Jaehyun. We work together. I've been living with him for 3 months. 3 months? Jennifer, you haven't called in 3 months. I thought you were just busy with work. Guilt twisted deeper. I know. I'm sorry. I should have told you. I knew you wouldn't approve, and I didn't want to hear it. Approve of what exactly? Living with a man? Sweetheart, you're 24. I can't control your choices. But you're calling me at midnight crying, so I'm guessing there's more to this story. Jenny took a shaky breath. He's complicated. His family doesn't approve of me. There are people trying to scare me away. And I found out he's been lying to me about it. Keeping things from me that I deserve to know. Does he hurt you?
No.
Never. He's actually, Mom, he's good to me. Really good. But his world is dangerous, and I don't know if I can handle it. Then leave. Such a simple answer. Such an impossible solution. I love him. Her mother sighed, long and heavy. Oh, baby. Love doesn't mean you have to set yourself on fire to keep someone else warm. Love should feel safe. Should build you up, not tear you down. It's not that simple. It never is. But Jennifer, listen to me. I didn't raise you to be someone's secret. Someone's liability. Someone who has to beg to be treated with honesty and respect. Her voice softened. You deserve better than that. You know you do. What if better doesn't exist? What if this is as good as it gets? Then you learn to be alone. And trust me, being alone is better than being with someone who makes you question your worth. Tears streamed down Jenny's face. I don't want to be alone. I know. But sweetheart, you already are. You're in a relationship where you can't talk to him, his family hates you, and you're getting threats from people he knows about but won't discuss with you. That's the loneliest kind of love there is. The truth of that statement hit like a physical blow. I don't know what to do, Mom. Do you remember what I told you when you left for Korea? When you were so scared and excited and absolutely certain this was your dream? You said to trust my gut. Exactly. Your gut brought you to Seoul. Built a career. Survived in a foreign country. Made a life for yourself. That same gut is telling you something now. What is it saying? Jenny closed her eyes. Listened to the voice beneath the fear and doubt and desperate hope. That something's wrong. That I'm not safe. That he's keeping secrets that could destroy me. Then you have your answer. But I love him. Love isn't enough if you're not being loved properly in return. Love without honesty is just pretty lies. And baby, you deserve more than lies, no matter how pretty they are. They talked for another hour. Her mother didn't judge. Didn't say, I told you so. Just listened and offered wisdom Jenny hadn't known she needed. When they finally hung up, it was past 2 a.m. Jenny felt hollowed out but clearer. She knew what she needed to do. Needed to confront Jaehyun. Demand real honesty. Set boundaries that were non-negotiable. But first, she needed to know the truth about everything. Sometimes the truth you demanded was worse than the lies you'd been living with. Jenny was about to learn that lesson the hard way. Jenny woke up Friday morning with steel in her spine and clarity in her mind. No more hiding. No more pretending. No more accepting vague answers and protective lies. Today, she was getting the truth. All of it. Since the Sunday dinner, where she'd overheard Jiwoo's real feelings, Jenny had been working from home. Jae-hyun had insisted after the third threatening note appeared. Just until we handle the situation, he'd said. I need to know you're safe. She'd agreed because arguing felt exhausting. Because part of her was relieved not to face his world every day. Because hiding in the penthouse felt easier than confronting reality. But 3 weeks of isolation had driven her half crazy. 3 weeks of staring at spreadsheets alone while Jae-hyun disappeared for meetings. 3 weeks of unanswered questions and careful distance. Her mother's words kept echoing. Trust your gut. And her gut said something was very wrong. So this morning, Jenny decided. No more waiting.
She was going to his office.
Surprising him. Demanding answers face-to-face where he couldn't deflect or disappear. She showered, dressed in her favorite burgundy dress, armor disguised as beauty, did her makeup with extra care, picked up lunch from his favorite restaurant. The receptionist's face lit up when Jenny walked in. Miss Lawrence, we haven't seen you in weeks. How are you?
Good.
Is Jae-hyun available? I wanted to surprise him. He's in a meeting, but I'm sure he'll be thrilled to see you. Go right up. Jenny took the elevator to the executive floor, heart pounding with each ascending number. His assistant was on a phone call, gestured her forward with an encouraging smile. She reached his office door. Through the glass panel, she could see everything. Jae-hyun stood by the wall map, the one showing territorial expansions across Asia and North America. A woman was with him, stunning in a way that made Jenny's stomach drop. Power suit, perfect hair, the kind of polished confidence that screamed money and authority.
She was pointing at something on the map.
Standing close. Too close. Her hand rested on Jae-hyun's chest. Familiar. Possessive. His hand was braced on the wall beside her head. Their faces inches apart. The position looked intimate. Like lovers caught mid-conversation. Jenny's vision tunneled. Every suspicion she'd been ignoring crashed over her at once. The woman's smile didn't falter. If anything, it widened, like she'd been waiting for this exact interruption. Jae-hyun stepped back immediately. Jenny. The lunch bag slipped from her fingers, hit the floor with a dull thud, containers spilling across expensive marble. I'm sorry. Jenny's voice came out strangled. I didn't mean to interrupt. You're not interrupting, the woman said smoothly, turning to face her fully. You must be Jennifer.
I've heard so much about you.
I'm Diana Chen, Vancouver Operations. Vancouver. The deal he'd been working on for months. The one he said was delicate and complicated. Now Jenny understood why. This isn't what it looks like. Jae-hyun started. Don't. The word came out sharp. Final. Don't insult me by pretending I didn't see exactly what I saw. Jenny, Diana, and I were discussing territory agreements. With her hands on you? Is that standard business practice now? Diana's smile turned amused. I apologize if I made you uncomfortable. I'm very hands-on with negotiations. Old habit.
Hands-on. Right.
Jenny looked at Jae-hyun. Really looked at him. At the guilt written across his face. At the panic in his eyes. And she knew. Maybe nothing physical had happened. Maybe this was exactly what he'd say it was business. But it didn't matter. Because he'd been meeting with this woman for months, without mentioning her. Because he looked guilty. Because Jenny was tired of being the naive foreigner who believed every excuse. I should go, she said quietly. Jenny, wait. Enjoy your meeting. She turned and walked out, leaving the spilled lunch on his floor like evidence of her stupidity. Jenny. Jae-hyun's voice followed her into the hall.
She didn't stop.
Couldn't stop. If she stopped, she'd cry. If she cried, she'd break. Behind her, she heard Diana's voice, sharp and commanding. Jae-hyun, we're not finished here. Vancouver won't wait. His footsteps stopped. He chose the meeting. Chose the deal. Chose everything except her. Jenny made it to the elevator. Pressed the button with shaking hands. The doors opened. She stepped inside. As they closed, she saw Jae-hyun standing in the hallway, torn between chasing her and returning to his office. Diana appeared beside him,
Said something.
put her hand on his arm.
He turned back.
The elevator descended. Jenny stared at her phone, at the group chat that had been silent for days. Maya, swamped with work.
Talk soon?
Chioma, court case running long. Miss you guys. Hey one. Mom's still in ICU. Pray for us. Her friends had their own lives, their own crises. They couldn't drop everything to save her from her terrible choices. She was alone. Her mother's voice echoed. Trust your gut. Being alone is better than being with someone who makes you question your worth. She should have listened. Tears blurred her vision as the elevator reached the ground floor. Jenny walked through the lobby, past the receptionist's cheerful goodbye, out into Seoul's afternoon sun. She needed to go home.
Pack. Think.
Figure out what came next. The street was crowded. Business people rushing to lunch meetings. Tourists taking photos. Normal life happening around her while her world crumbled. Jenny wiped her eyes, started walking toward the subway station. A van pulled up beside her. She barely registered it. Seoul had delivery vans everywhere. The side door slid open. Hands grabbed her.
Strong.
Efficient. Jenny tried to scream. A cloth covered her mouth. Chemicals smell. Sweet and wrong. She fought.
Kicked. Clawed.
More hands. Pulling her into darkness. The door slammed shut. Tires screeched. And Jenny's last conscious thought before everything went black was that her mother had been right. She should have trusted her gut. Should have left when she had the chance. Now it was too late. Meanwhile, back at the office, Jae-hyun closed the Vancouver deal in record time. Diana seemed pleased, which meant she'd gotten more concessions than he'd planned to give. He didn't care. His mind was on Jenny, on the look on her face when she'd walked in, on the lunch spilled across his floor like a metaphor for everything broken between them. Pleasure doing business, Diana said, extending her hand. Jae-hyun shook it mechanically. My assistant will send the contracts. And Jae-hyun? For what it's worth, I apologize for the misunderstanding with your girlfriend. I forget not everyone understands how I operate. He said nothing, just watched her leave. The moment the door closed, he pulled out his phone. Jae-hyun, please let me explain. Jae-hyun, nothing happened.
I swear.
Jae-hyun, Jenny, please answer. 10 messages. No response. She was angry. She had every right to be. He'd let Diana manipulate the situation. Should have introduced them properly. Should have set clear boundaries. He'd fix this. Buy her flowers. That jewelry she'd been eyeing last week. Grovel properly. His assistant knocked timidly. Sir, is everything. Get out. The words exploded from him. Everyone out.
Now.
The floor cleared in seconds. Jae-hyun sat in silence, staring at his phone. At Jenny's contact photo, her laughing at something he'd said, eyes bright with joy he'd probably destroyed. He'd chosen wrong. Stayed for the deal instead of chasing her. Proven every fear she'd ever had about being second priority. But he'd make it right. Tonight. He'd go home, explain everything, make her understand that she was everything. He left the office early. Stopped at the florist for roses. The jeweler for the bracelet she'd admired. Expensive apologies because he didn't know how else to say sorry. His driver dropped him at the penthouse. Jae-hyun took the elevator up, arms full of gifts, practicing his apology. The apartment was dark. Jenny? Silence. Maybe she'd gone to a friend's. Needed space to cool down. He flipped on the lights, headed for the bedroom to wait. That's when he saw it. A white envelope on the coffee table. The same style as the other notes. His blood went cold. He dropped the flowers. The jewelry box. Crossed the room in 3 strides. Opened the envelope with shaking hands. Inside, a single piece of paper. And a photo. Jenny. Unconscious. Cable ties on her wrists. Zip tied to a chair in what looked like a warehouse. Below the photo, a message in Korean. You care about the foreigner? Come get her. Pier 7, Warehouse 3. Midnight. Come alone or she dies. Bring anyone she dies. Call police she dies. You have one chance to save your weakness. Don't waste it. The paper slipped from his fingers.
No.
No. He grabbed his phone. Called Jenny's number. Voicemail. Again. Voicemail. He checked the security cameras. Watched Jenny leave the building at 2:47 p.m. Saw her walking down the street. Saw the van pull up. Saw them take her. And he'd been in his office. Closing a deal. Choosing business. While they took everything that mattered. Jae-hyun sank onto the couch, staring at the photo of Jenny unconscious and bound. This was his fault. His enemies. His world. His choice to keep her close despite knowing the danger. He looked at the note again.
Come alone.
They wanted him to walk into a trap. Wanted him vulnerable and desperate. They had no idea what they'd unleashed. Because Park Jae-hyun had spent 3 years falling in love with Jennifer Lawrence. 3 years learning every expression, every fear, every dream. And anyone who touched her would learn exactly why people feared his name. He made one phone call. Not to police. Not to his organization. To someone who owed him a favor. Someone who operated outside the law. I need a team.
Armed.
Tactical. Meet me at Pier 7 in 2 hours. How many men? Jae-hyun looked at Jenny's photo. At her unconscious face. All of them. Jenny woke to darkness and the smell of salt water. Her head throbbed. Wrists burned where zip ties cut into skin. She tried to move and realized she was bound to a chair, ankles secured to the legs. Panic clawed up her throat. She's awake. A voice.
Male.
Korean accent. Footsteps approached. A light flicked on. Harsh. Blinding. Jenny squinted against it, trying to see. They were in a warehouse. Empty except for her chair, some crates, and 3 men standing in the shadows. Where am I? Her voice came out hoarse. What do you want? Not you. The man stepped into the light. Middle-aged. Expensive suit. Cold eyes. You're just bait. The foreigner who made Park Jae-hyun weak. He'll come for you. And when he does, a smile that made her stomach turn. We'll finally eliminate the problem that's been disrupting our operations for years. He won't come alone. He'll bring his entire organization. No, he won't. Because we were very clear. Come alone or you die. And Park Jae-hyun, for all his power, has one fatal weakness now. The man crouched in front of her. You. Jenny's mind raced. This was her fault. She'd been so focused on her feelings, on jealousy and doubt, that she'd ignored the real danger. The threats that had been building for months. Now Jae-hyun would walk into a trap because of her. He doesn't care about me that much, she lied desperately. We're barely together. He'll probably be relieved I'm gone. Nice try. But we've been watching. We know exactly how much you matter. He stood, nodded to one of his men. Midnight. He'll come. And this time, the Park Empire falls. Hours crawled by. Jenny tested the zip ties until her wrists bled. Tried to tip the chair. Nothing worked. Her thoughts spiraled to Jae-hyun. To their last conversation. Her walking out. Him choosing the business deal. What if those were the last words they ever spoke? What if she died here thinking he'd betrayed her when maybe he'd been telling the truth? God, she'd been so stupid. So focused on her hurt feelings that she'd stormed off into danger. Her mother's advice echoed. Trust your gut. And her gut had told her to leave. To save herself. But her heart screamed that she loved Park Jae-hyun. Flaws and secrets and dangerous world included. She just hoped she'd live long enough to tell him. At 11:47 p.m., the warehouse door exploded inward. Not opened. Exploded. Smoke filled the space. Gunfire erupted. Shouts in Korean. Bodies hitting the ground. Jenny couldn't see anything through the chaos. Could only hear the violence erupting around her. Then he was there. Jae-hyun. Dressed in all black. Gun in hand. Blood splattered across his face. Not his blood, she hoped. His eyes found hers across the warehouse, and something in his expression cracked. Jenny. He crossed to her and speedily dropped to his knees, hands shaking as he cut the zip ties. Are you hurt? Did they touch you? I'm okay. Jae-hyun, it's a trap. I know. I don't care. He pulled her into his arms. I'm so sorry. For everything. For choosing wrong. For not protecting you. We need to go, she interrupted. Because they were in a warehouse full of dead and dying men, and this was not the time for apologies. He helped her stand. Her legs nearly gave out. He caught her, supported her weight. Can you walk? I think so. More gunfire outside. Jaehyun's men were handling the perimeter, but they needed to move.
Now.
They made it halfway to the exit when a voice stopped them cold. Park Jaehyun. They both turned. A man stepped from the shadows. Older. Familiar in a way that made Jaehyun go completely still. No, he breathed. You're dead. I watched the blood drain out of your heart. The man smiled. It'll take more than a bullet to kill me, young lord. Kang Min-ho. Jaehyun's voice was flat.
Dead.
I should have made sure.
Yes.
You should have. The man, Kang, raised a gun. But you got sloppy. Distracted. All because of her. He pointed the gun at Jenny. Jaehyun moved. Pushed her behind him. If you want her, you go through me. That was always the plan. Everything happened in slow motion. Kang's finger on the trigger. Jaehyun shoving Jenny backward. The gunshot, impossibly loud in the confined space. Jaehyun's body jerking. Stumbling. Blood blooming across his chest. No! Jenny's scream tore from her throat. He collapsed. She caught him. Or tried to. They went down together, his weight pulling them both to the concrete floor. Jaehyun, stay with me. Please. His men swarmed in. More gunfire.
Shouting.
Kang went down in a hail of bullets. But Jenny only saw Jaehyun. His eyes unfocused. Blood spreading too fast. Call an ambulance, she screamed. Someone help him. His hand found hers. Squeezed weakly. Jenny, sorry. Don't apologize. Don't you dare say goodbye. Tears streamed down her face.
You stay with me.
You promised to protect me. You can't protect me if you're dead. Love you. His eyes closed.
No.
Jaehyun, no. She pressed her hands to the wound, trying to stop the bleeding. Help. Someone help. His second-in-command appeared. Pressed a cloth to the wound. Ambulance is coming. Boss, stay awake. You hear me? Stay awake. But Jaehyun was already gone. Not dead. His chest still rose and fell in shallow breaths. But unconscious. Slipping away. The ambulance arrived. Paramedics swarmed. They loaded him onto a stretcher, started IVs, shouted medical terms Jenny didn't understand. I'm coming with him, she said. Not a request. Nobody argued. The ride to the hospital was a blur of sirens and machines beeping and paramedics working frantically to keep Jaehyun alive. BP dropping. Start compressions. Don't you die on me, boss. They burst through hospital doors. More shouting. Doctors. Nurses. A flurry of organized chaos. Someone tried to pull Jenny back. Ma'am, you need to wait. I'm not leaving him. A doctor, young, female, calm despite the emergency, appeared. We've got him. Go to the waiting room. We'll update you as soon as we can. He can't die.
Please.
He can't. We'll do everything we can. The doctor's eyes were kind. But I need you to let us work. Okay. Jenny nodded. Let them pull her away. Watched them disappear through doors she couldn't follow. She collapsed into a waiting room chair, covered in his blood, shaking so hard her teeth chattered. Someone draped a blanket over her shoulders, handed her water she couldn't drink. Hours passed, or maybe minutes. Time had no meaning. Finally, the doctor emerged, still in surgical scrubs. Blood, Jaehyun's blood, on her gloves. Jenny stood. Is he
alive?
Barely. The bullet collapsed a lung and nicked an artery. We've stopped the bleeding and stabilized him, but she paused. He's in a coma. The trauma was severe. We won't know the extent of the damage until he wakes up. When will he wake up? We don't know. Could be hours.
Days.
Weeks. The doctor's expression softened. I'm sorry. We're doing everything we can. Jenny's legs gave out. Someone caught her, guided her back to the chair. Can I see him?
Soon.
We're moving him to ICU. Once he's settled, you can sit with him. The doctor started to leave, then paused. Miss Lawrence? You were brought in with him. I'd like to run some tests. Make sure you're not injured. Just basic checkup. Hospital protocol. I'm fine. Humor me. You've been through trauma. Let us make sure. Too tired to argue, Jenny let them lead her to an examination room. Blood pressure, temperature, basic questions about pain or discomfort. Then the doctor asked, "When was your last menstrual period?"
What?
Why does that matter? Standard question for women of childbearing age, especially after trauma. Jenny tried to remember. Work had been so stressful. Life so chaotic. I don't know. 6 weeks? Maybe 7. The doctor's expression shifted. Have you been sexually active? Yes, but I'd like to run a pregnancy test. Just to be safe. Some medications we might prescribe could be harmful if you're pregnant. I'm not pregnant. Let's confirm that. They drew blood. Jenny sat in the examination room, numb with exhaustion and fear, while they processed results. The doctor returned.
Sat down.
Her expression carefully neutral. Miss Lawrence, your test came back positive. The words didn't register at first. Positive for what? You're pregnant. About 6 weeks, based on hormone levels. The room tilted sideways. That's not. I can't be. But even as denial filled her mouth, her mind was calculating. 6 weeks ago, the night after she'd moved in, when they'd celebrated with wine and laughter and made love like they had all the time in the world. I'm pregnant, she whispered.
Yes.
Congratulations. Congratulations. The word felt obscene. Jae-hyun was in a coma. They'd almost died. His world had literally tried to kill her. And she was pregnant with his child. Does he know? The doctor asked gently.
No.
I didn't know. Jenny's hand moved to her stomach.
Flat.
Unchanged. But inside, a life was growing. A piece of her and Jae-hyun, created in love and now existing in chaos. What do I do? That's up to you. But first, let's make sure you're healthy. Get you some prenatal vitamins. Run more comprehensive tests. The doctor squeezed her shoulder. One step at a time. One step at a time. Jenny could do that. Step 1. See Jae-hyun. Tell him, even if he couldn't hear, that she loved him. That she was sorry for doubting him. That they were going to be parents. Step 2. Wait for him to wake up. Because he had to wake up. He had to. They had too much left to say. Too much life left to live. A baby who needed their father. Jenny stood, wiped her tears, straightened her spine. Take me to him, she said.
Please.